Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined as always by my good buddies Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael, they like to debate and deliberate the Mount Rushmore of given topics. This week's topic is one that I'm choosing and putting it on them to debate, and that is the Mount Rushmore of just plain old robots.
I'm glad you got the full title in there. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't change it to robots. Thank you, sir.
I was thinking, we talk a lot about Star Wars on this podcast, and I was thinking about how many robots as a kid I saw on The Little Rascals or on some dumb sci-fi film or Sesame Street that were just generic robots, dumb robots. And then Star Wars came out, and they all had names, and they were droids and yada, yada, yada. And I just so nostalgic for just plain old robots. So I thought we'd talk about it. All right.
So funny.
Yeah. So I think I'm just gonna go with. Does either one of you guys just want to jump in?
I'll jump in.
Okay. All right. The most robotic of our co-hosts.
The man who was told on a cable game show that he sounded like a robot, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was someone from the East Coast, one of the geeks on the Beat the Geeks Comedy Central game show, said I sounded like a robot. And he must have been from like Pittsburgh or something, I don't know. And I could not get over it for the entire, next half hour that I was standing on stage. Was just like, what? Who did he call me? A robot?
A robot? What?
A robot. It was awful.
So what's your first just plain old robot?
Well, we were all led to believe in the future that robots would be like Rosie the robot on the Jetsons.
Yeah.
She could do anything and everything. She was multi-use. But in reality, they're more like the dinosaurs and creatures on the Flintstone, where they have one mundane task that they do. Whether it's like the Pigosaurus that lives under the sink as the garbage disposal, or the mastodon that's the shower, or the bird that's the camera. That is why my first choice for the Mount Rushmore of just plain old robots is the Roomba.
Oh.
I love the Roomba. I love my Roomba. Its name is Dirt Vader. In case anyone is trying to hack into our Wi-Fi to access how often it cleans our apartment. It's all the time. I love that it's a robot that has one function, but still, it gets tangled up in some wires every once in a while. But I mean, don't we all? I mean, I think that's the most human thing about it.
Has it ever accidentally sucked up a cat?
No, we are down a cat since this COVID thing has happened. We're down just to one cat, but he passed away from robot vacuum cleaner related injuries. But what I like about this robot is that it is just like me. It bumps into walls all the time. It gets tangled up in wires, as I mentioned, and it does the cleaning job, but 85% well, just like me. And at the end of the day, that's good enough for a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
But what I just love that this thing that has one job. It vacuums. It goes back to its little home base, and then that's it. But it's this robot that just lives in my house. It has a function. It does its thing. It goes back, it vacuums. It does its thing. And it's just this is kind of the future that I was hoping for in a little way. And it's very strange that my child is going to grow up always knowing that he had a robot in his house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I know in Star Wars, you'll see R2 units all over the place. And sometimes they're just driving barges or sometimes they're very simple jobs, but they could do all of those things. Dirt Vader can't do crap. He can barely vacuum. Sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, he whips it up. He's got his little brush and his little roller, and he goes through the apartment, and it takes 45 minutes to do 2 rooms, and it's great. And you put him on, and the dog hates it, and the other cat hates it. You just walk out of the house, and it goes back to where it's supposed to be. But he's a unitasker, to borrow the Alton Brown phrase, but that's good enough. You know, some robots, you're not there to do it all. You're not there to be everybody's everything. Yes, my good friend Dirt Vader. God bless you.
I love it.
Little robot.
I love it. All right, Manfredi, what do you got?
All right, so my first one is the robot operating buddy, a robotic operating buddy, otherwise known as
nice choice,
as R.O.B, the Nintendo Entertainment System robot that was built for specifically 2 games, and both of them sucked.
Yeah, this is the worst robot that's ever been built, by the way.
It's so bad. It came out in 1985 as the Family Computer Robot in Japan, and then was ported out to the United States a few months later. I only ever played the second game, which was Stack Up, which was essentially you just had to stack different color, use the robot and its claws to stack up different colored blocks that would match up with the blocks that were on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's it. That's the game.
My super rich friend that lived across the street from me came back from New York that Christmas with like the Nintendo Family Edition with so many games, including R.O.B the Robot with the little spinny things, and that one game, Gyromite, where all you do is you move walls up and down while this Mr. Magoo-like character potentially dies unless you push the right button.
Oh, it never really would quite work right. You had to get it lined up exactly perfectly with the TV and at the right angle, or else it wouldn't work. And it looked like Johnny Five from the.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like, and it was the least interesting looking. It was the most robotic looking robot you could possibly imagine. It was just
Rich, Can you explain to Jeff the functionality, what it actually did?
Barely. It just had like 2 claws, and then you could use the claws to put in like on Gyromite. You know, it would pick up these the claws for its hands, and had these like 2 spinning gyros, and you had to like move these trays with the gyros were on, that would then press buttons on another NES controller. It was a mess.
Yeah.
No, that's all I have to say. That's all I can say about it. It was just, but yet it was, here's the thing. It was cool as shit if somebody you knew had one. I had a very similar thing where somebody who was like not a good friend of mine, but somebody who was sort of an acquaintance of mine, whose family was fairly well off, had one. And yeah, it was like this, oh my God, you got one of these things. This is going to be so cool to play with. And you played with it for about 20 minutes and went, let's go back playing Super Mario.
But yeah, I'm looking at the videos, and it looks very rudimentary, very basic. Like, it seemed like it took it's more work than play to have fun with.
Yeah, it was an effort. It was an effort to play with this thing.
Yeah.
It was like one of those, like, when you buy your kids a STEM
science
toy or something, yeah. And like, it seems like it's going to be really cool, and you're going to learn lots of science, and it winds up being you just putting it together for 5 hours.
Yeah,
because it's like over the heads of your kids. That's sort of what playing with R.O.B was like.
Wow, that's unfortunate. Yeah, but the design looks cool. It is a very compelling design.
Yeah, it looks, like I said, it is about as robot as a robot can get.
Yeah.
You know, I love the idea of a robot that takes more work for its use than what a robot was originally intended for, which is to basically ease your lifestyle.
Yeah.
This is a robot that makes things worse.
Yeah. He's like a 78 Fiat or something, where you just always just got to take it to the shop. Okay, dudes. Winfield, what's your second choice?
Okay, my second choice is that robot dog that keeps getting better and better at running and doing dog things.
Oh, yeah.
The Boston Dynamics dog.
Yeah.
Which they've been developing for 15 years. The original one was called BigDog, and there's no word on whether or not if you can't run with a big dog, you should stay on the porch.
Right. Yeah.
Richard, I have no idea if it's associated with Big Johnson or not, but
It may be possible.
I'm looking into it. Well, this robot is now being sold to the public, a smaller version, a slimmed down version, for $74,500.
Holy smokes.
It's 71 pounds, can run for 90 minutes, is waterproof, and it does all the things that this dog camera robot thing does, which is, traverse rocks awkwardly and jumps on boxes, and I guess it's built for parkour. Oh, it should be built for like barcore.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
There you go.
Write
that down. Write that
French,
down. Yeah.
The French dog barking. And I don't know who really needs this thing. And I think that's also one of the beauties of robots, is they're built for maybe like an intended purpose, but it's being sold with kind of like this basic camera setup inside of it, but it can like hold things and has places to add additional features and things of your own to it. I don't know if it's necessarily, it's not quite military grade.
Like a frosting beater, or like what are you gonna add to the thing?
Yeah, if you're in like the battlefield, if you're on like a 15% incline and really need to whip a lemon meringue into shape. But I love that this. I've been watching this robot develop for 15 years. I love that this thing has been like kind of in my life, just watching it get better and better without it ever really taking on any sort of, it never got cute. It never has like kind of that Ibo thing. It never has that like that robot dog thing where they kind of try to make it look like a dog. It has these strange spindly legs. And, I don't know. I just find it so fascinating to watch the people develop it and develop its motor skills and develop, unfortunately, it's also going to be the video. There's all these videos of like the developers hitting these things with like sticks and kicking it and knocking it over.
I hate to see that.
It is the video that they're going to show, like when robots eventually gain artificial intelligence. It's going to be the one in the trial that they're going to point to and then be like, well, you guys are done.
I feel like I've also just heard you write the first part of your pre-death monologue as this dog is on top of you with a drill bit coming out of where its tongue would be. And you're saying, I watched you grow. I watched you develop over 15 years. Don't kill me, Boston. I also think there's something about the name Boston Dynamic Dog that if you told me that this wasn't a beer swilling guy, heckling a Celtics game or something like that, I'm so surprised.
Boston Dynamic Dog sounds like on the dog shows, how the dogs always have like these super like long act names.
Yeah.
And then their nickname is like Sparky.
Yeah.
That's what that
so
sounds
funny.
like to me.
All right, Manfredi, what's your second choice?
All right, my second choice is Biohazard, which was the greatest Battlebot of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This was a one of only 2 Battlebots to win 3 different season championships.
Wow.
In the heavyweight division.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this one because it essentially looks like it's almost like a wedge that's about 4 inches tall, and it doesn't have anything fancy. You would see these. I used to watch a lot of BattleBots when I was like in college because I was an idiot and had nothing else better to do in college, and it was on Comedy Central about 12 hours a day in the mid 90s. And there would be, anytime the more moving parts there were on a BattleBot, the more likely that moving part was going to get snapped off like a twig. And this thing essentially just had like one arm that would just come down and slice. That's all it was. It was just like a wedge with one arm that would come down and slice. It couldn't get flipped over because the center of gravity was so low, and it had this like a skirt, this metal skirt, so you couldn't get, none of the flipper ones could work on it. It was the Mike Tyson of BattleBots for its time. Just purpose built and just set on destruction.
Oh, I love
Loved
this
it.
choice.
I loved it. I loved BattleBots. BattleBots. I even watched the kind of crappy remake they did a few years ago.
Did it retire after the three-peat or what?
No, it got booted out of the league. It had gambling problems.
Yeah,
It had these issues with its dad.
it never
Illegal
built.
batteries.
Yeah, exactly. There was a illegal use of WD-40 was claimed.
I always like on BattleBots when like one of them tries to introduce like a flame aspect.
Yes.
And it's never like an acetylene torch, which if it grabbed you and like had an acetylene torch, it's always like this, very dramatic, big whooshing flame that isn't really going to do anything but look good on TV.
Right.
Did Biohazard?
That was a fun show.
Was there a personality? Because you describe it as a very rudimentary apparatus. Was there some kind of personality that was evinced by his controllers? Is there some way that what made you fall in love with him?
I think it was A, because it was so dominant, and B, I just look. I like a winner.
Yeah.
And it won 37 head-to-head battles and lost only 3.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, it was the ass kicker of its day.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other part of it was just the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
It looked like something that, given enough time, I could have built,
Mm-hmm.
which I think I appreciated, and I appreciated the fact that it just basically looked like a block.
Yeah.
And that's all it needed to be. It didn't need to be this fancy, the bells and whistles and everything. It just needed to be purposeful, and it was purpose driven. I love that.
All right, guys, we are at our halftime for the Mount Rushmore of Just Plain Old Robots. I want to implore you to go back and listen to the spate of guests we've had in our Summer Fun season 2020 Summer Fun season of guests. We've had a lot of great guests coming in, sharing a fun topic with us, and then I would also encourage you to go check out their blogs and podcasts and all the things that they do too. We also want you to go back into the annals of the Mount Rushmore podcast. If you came here for the robots, the topic robots, if you Googled robots and dorks who talk about them, you could look back in our past episodes and find a number of robot-y type of topics, I'm sure. So go do that and download those episodes, then rate them. That would be super awesome. Maybe even leave a review. That would be super cool. And then do us a solid and share our podcast with your friends and family. It's a great summer gift. The Summer Fun Mount Rushmore podcast, Summer Fun.
We are the rosé of summer podcasts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, rosé all day, like a super sippable.
Yeah.
I think we're a sexy beach read too. Yeah. Poolside. That's the podcast you want poolside. Us. All right, bro. Winfield, what's your third choice?
Well, I referred to this earlier. It's the impending doom when robots gain their own intelligence and, that's it for the human race. It's this idea of gaining artificial intelligence, and I'm not talking about Gigolo Joe. The real nightmare scenario for robots is when their circuits and technical abilities merge with artificial intelligence, and the human race will be destroyed. And that's why we have to talk about the Flight of the Conchord song called Robots, a.k.a. The Humans Are Dead, where Brett McKenzie and Jermaine Clement are the comedic band Flight of the Conchords. They had an HBO show for a couple of seasons, HBO, that was just about this duo being this folk pop duo from New Zealand that are struggling in New York. And at some point on the show, they record a music video for a song called Humans Are Dead, or it's called Robots. The internet is, it kind of goes both ways. And the song is all about how it starts off saying the distant future, the year 2000. And it's an entire song about how the robots have killed all the humans, have murdered them for the way they treated robots and treated animals, and features this how there's two dances that are alive in the future. Now, this was a song that came out in 2007. They're talking about the distant future, like from the year 2000. Like, it's very much a Conan O'Brien bit. But it does feature that the only dances left are the robot and the Robo Boogie. And this song is just so funny. It's sung in this ridiculous, the very traditional robot voice, very mechanical. And it's just a lovely blend of doom and ridiculousness. And I've come to appreciate Flight of the Conchord so much in the last few years. But also just the tongue-in-cheek approach to, the destruction of mankind, and this thing that so many movies made about robots taking over, gaining their intelligence, and all they want to do is dance.
I forget which episode it was where we discussed the sentience of robots, and when I have discovered if you say the word singularity a certain way, Siri thinks you're saying Siri. So I was talking to someone about the singularity, and I said, when the singularity comes, and then my phone just said, singularity, a moment of sentience for computers around the world. Like it.
See.
Scared the hell out of me. What was my train?
And then it said, we're adding your name to a list, Jeff Hopkins.
Yeah.
Social security number, address.
We have your GPS. We know where you are. We're going to track down and kill you. I love the how rudimentary those robots were, because they were kids' Halloween costume robots. Okay, Manfredi.
All right, so my third one is the DaVinci surgical system.
Whoa.
Which is essentially a robotic surgical system that is being used by surgeons today to do minimally invasive surgery, such as prostatectomies, cardiac valve repair, and gynecological surgical procedures. And if you look at the thing, it looks exactly like you would expect a surgical robot to look like if you were to picture it in your mind. It's that's kind of what I'm driving at. It's got like all these different arms that have like all these different scalpels and other surgical tools attached to it. Now, in this case, there is a doctor who is there, usually in the room with it, at a console, doing all of the controlling of the motions and everything that the DaVinci is doing. But I just don't like the idea of a robot with a scalpel.
No.
That just weirds the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And they say that there have been tests or studies that have been done that show that there's less blood loss when using this than if it's an actual surgeon doing it with their own hands. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. I believe that the machine is somehow sucking up the blood to make itself look better. I believe it may actually be running on the blood itself. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But I'm 100% positive that when the robots rise against us, this is going to be the first thing that turns. When maximum overdrive happens, this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. The surgical robot. It's going to come at our wieners.
Basically.
It comes in, it was just a medical mishap. It all starts as accidents.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's just, there's a accidental snip here, a little cut here. Next thing you know, the hospital's out of control. These things are running riot all over the place, and nobody can stop them.
Well, they're all going to work in tandem. First the Roomba starts to not clean as well, so you kind of slip on some dust, and then you land on your R.O.B, the robot, and it grabs you and kind of spins a top onto your eyes. So you have to go get some surgery. So you go in, and then this robot does the coup de grace.
All I'm picturing right now is the robot insurance sketch from Saturday Night Live for when the metal ones come for you.
Yeah.
And they will. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, this is something that we have thought about for as long as I think there's been a concept of robots, has been this idea of, well, like, what if you could have a robot surgeon, someone who isn't impacted by stress
Yeah, or alcohol.
or alcohol. Yeah. And we're getting closer to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes the question is, do you really trust a robot to be able to do life-threatening, or potentially life-saving surgery on you? I don't have a great answer to that, but I'm pretty sure I still trust Doc Shaky better than I do an actual robot.
Yeah, I wonder, does a doctor who's on the last hour of his 24-hour shift do any worse than a robot? This rickety Allergang kind of surgeon robot that they rolled into the OR.
I don't know which one I would rather see.
Uh-huh.
As I'm getting wheeled in for my prostate removal. If I'd rather see, a 70-year-old surgeon who's, like you said, seeing his fifth patient of the day and really wants to just get out of there for his golf game.
Yeah.
Or if I'd rather see this giant robot just being wheeled in and them going, well, good luck.
I have to say, even a doctor coming at me with a scalpel is not very comforting. But if they did put this DaVinci surgical system, does it move around? Does it roll around on rickety wheels? Or does it say?
No.
Does it say DaVinci surgical system?
Ready to operate now? No, I don't think it does that.
I'm knifing your balls.
It doesn't have witty banter with you like 2-1B in Empire Strikes Back or anything.
Do you have to actually swipe your PPO or HMO card into it in the middle of the surgery?
No, just your ATM card.
Your ATM card.
If it's declined, it will wake you up in the middle of the surgery and ask for another form of payment, please.
I would love for them to just put the sexy nurse costume on it, just to try to make you feel just a little bit better. Okay, Winfield, what's your final choice?
My final choice, when trying to think of, there's such a vast array of robots to choose from in real life, as we've talked about, and in pop culture. And I wanted to end on just the most human robot that I could think of. Because for whatever reason, I think that's where these were all trending in my picks. They were all kind of slowly moving towards something that was more and more human. And I cannot think of a more human robot than Bending Rodriguez from Futurama, who was awful and spiteful and a dick and a jerk. And if there was any robot that would not wear a mask out in public during a robo-pandemic, it would be Bender. He drinks a lot. He smokes cigars. He cusses. He was built basically for one function, which is to bend things. And then in his first introduction to the character, he's stepping inside a suicide booth to kill himself. I think just because. I don't quite remember why. And
he got fired, hadn't he? Wasn't that what it was?
Maybe that, it's hard to remember, but I love this character, and I love that he is this robot that is built for one function. They explicitly just say that he's a bending robot that bends. Maybe he couldn't bend as well as he could. Maybe that's why he was fired. But throughout the series, he is the robot that you dreamed of, where he can do basically anything. He takes his arms off and he can have all these different attachments, and he has kind of this infinite Mary Poppins handbag like space in his chest, and he can live for thousands of years, and he's he's a best friend and a worst enemy. He's so overcome with emotion constantly that he's just so human. I don't know. He's just so wonderful, even though he's like an asshole. And I just think there's something they really got it right with that character in a universe filled with other robots that are just so, are so ridiculous, be it the hedonism bot or the gangster robots or the robot devil. I I love him as a character and as a take on both being a robot and then also just being this jerk ass New Yorker. I'm sorry, new New Yorker. He's a new New Yorker.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. I have a big world open to me because I have not seen 1 second of Futurama. So I.
Oh my God, Jeffrey Hopkins.
Gotta dig in.
If there's anything that was perfect, it's like the first 8 seasons of The Simpsons, and then the first 4 seasons of Futurama, and even even when they came back and started doing like the little mini movies in the later seasons, they're still written so well, and they're so smart, and there's so much hidden detail, and they're such a great rip on sci-fi pop culture and just pop culture in general. But you have to, I am commanding you, I guess, at this point.
I shall. I shall.
Good. Wow, Richard, what else could we command him to do?
Well,
quickly while he's open to it. Yeah,
you got me started on Harry Potter, and then J.K. Rowling gets canceled. So I don't.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if you
awful.
want. Maybe I shouldn't watch Futurama. Manfredi, what's your final choice?
All right, so my final choice is the Mars Rover Opportunity.
Oh
This
wow.
thing was just a stud. Landed in January 2004, and wound up doing its mission for 15 Earth years, or Martian 8 Martian years, depending on how nerdy you want to be. And I remember when they finally lost contact with it back in 2018, when there was a dust storm, and it got caught in it, and it wound up not being able to recharge its batteries properly, and they lost contact with it, and they eventually had to call a halt to the mission and declare it complete. And it felt, I remember it, for a lot of people, it was like almost like a death in the family, or like a celebrity dying, or something like that. This rover had become more than just like this functional piece of machinery. It had actually, at this point, had become something that was, almost had obtained some sort of human qualities for some reason. I just remember being very touched by that.
There's something interesting to that. There's something interesting about being like this lone creature on a planet. I think they capture it in Wall-E very well, in a fictional way, of like the last functioning robot in this world of no people, no plants, no humans, no animals, just garbage. And I think you think of like something like Opportunity, like that, just like this singular creature just driving around looking for things, looking to do things, and just like what happens when the batteries run out. And
yeah, and I love
how long was the original? How long did you say the original lifespan was?
I believe that they thought it was going to. I had it written down here. I believe it was supposed to only last for a couple of years, and it wound up going for 15. So I think that was part of what the fascination with Opportunity was. And they still have the Curiosity rover is still up there. So there's still a rover up on Mars. But I think part of the fascination with Opportunity was this idea of something having this planned obsolescence and just seemingly being so stubborn and refusing to quit doing what it's sort of designed to do, which is go around, look for water, look for interesting rocks, look for signs of life on Mars, do all this kind of cool science fiction-y shit.
Yeah, it says, it's a quick Wikipedia, it says a mission duration planned was 92 Earth days, and it lasted almost 5,500 Earth days, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It was the Lou Gehrig of the Iron Horse, the Cal Ripken of Mars rovers.
I mean, you got to appreciate it. I'm looking at the launch patch for Opportunity had Daffy Duck as Duck Dodgers on there.
Love it. That's great.
That's ridiculous. I love this robot.
Yeah, if you get a chance to go out to, if you live here in Southern California, obviously they didn't do it this year. Hopefully they do it next year. The JPL open house that they have every year, where they you can go into the JPL campus, and they have lots of exhibits and things set up so you can see what they're working on. And they have scale models of the different Mars rovers that you can take a look at, and it's just fascinating to be able to see these very basic looking things and realize this is how we know so much about Mars. So much of what we know about life on other planets come from these really super basic looking, very simply designed in some ways, robots.
The Wall-E, thinking about Wall-E and how well Pixar ascribed the longing of loneliness and human emotion to that trash spot does make one kind of transpose that onto opportunity. I will say there is something that is almost a chivalry, Knights of the Round Table, long lost sense of duty that is so wonderful to know that robots have. Their devotion to their programming, to their assignment, their dedication, and their desire to be useful and remain so long after the expectations of their creator. It's fascinating to me. It does make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I also think about how we as humans are looking for our own opportunities and trying to be useful to our society and civilization and our families and all that stuff, and it seems very relatable when we see that in a non-sentient being. I saw an article about this hostage negotiation situation in which a guy had a knife and he was going to jump off the 280 or something in California here. And nobody wanted to approach the crazy suicidal guy with a knife. No, believe it or not, no cop or hostage negotiator wanted to go up and talk to this guy. So they sent a robot with a pizza and a cell phone. This robot just rolled up to talk to this guy. They were able to pilot it, and he could only get the pizza.
Where is this?
It was he was on the 280 freeway. I think it was like near Chatsworth, or let's see where it was. 280 and 680 at Highway 101.
That'd be up in Northern California.
Oh, sorry, San Jose. Sorry about that, San Jose. So, so here's this robot gets to come bring a pizza to this guy and a cell phone so he can talk to the cops, the hostage negotiator. The guy ends up eating some yummy pizza because, as we know, that solves everything. And he ends up walking back down to go talk to the cops, and he turns himself in. Go ahead.
I wish a robot would give me some free pizza right now.
I think so, yeah. But that same robot, like a week before, shot a guy with a gun. that he also has a gun on him. The same robot. Can you imagine that robot? Like, fuck.
I shouldn't be laughing.
That same robot is shot and killed a guy in another dangerous situation.
Do you think?
Yeah, we've seen Ed 209 from RoboCop. He's got a hair trigger.
Do you think that robot had to see a robot therapist afterwards?
I imagine did when he comes over to his robot wife. How was work today, honey? It wasn't pizza today. I had to shoot a guy. Like,
there's an alternate reality where that guy that was so desperate and on the edge was some guy that had moved out from New York, and they rolled this robot over with a pizza and a cell phone, and the guy opened it up and he's like, "Hey, this isn't New York pizza. I'm not eating this shit." And just
jumped right over.
Just jumped,
stabbing himself with the knife as he falls to the ground.
It's the water. The water makes the crust different, you guys.
And then everybody
get a good pizza out here.
Everybody's hearing that and they just go, "Well, we're glad he's dead. We're glad he's dead." All right, guys, so let's do some scoring. Hey, it's been a long time since I rock and rolled, but I want to thank you guys for such cool choices. I love how Michael's choices, Dirt Vader the Roomba, the Boston Dynamic Dog, the robots, the humans are dead, Bender. It seems like you are evaluating them and robots in terms of their service towards humans, and I thought that was really cool. Kind of like about our relationship with them. Are they going to kill us? Are they going to be our friends? Are they going to do their duty? Is it our man's best friend? And then Richard, I felt like you really had a evaluation based on success. How well are they at doing their job? Are they shitty video game companions, dominating Battlebots? Are they questionable surgeons, or are they definitely triumphantly successful rovers? So I thought that was really interesting. But only one of you is going to win this game, and I'm going to shake things up this summer. It's halfway through the summer. I don't know where we've been with these things. I don't know what the scoring is. What is the scoring?
Our guests are currently outscoring us.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, they're up 75 points to
Holy
us
shit.
to 73 and 67 for me and Richard respectively. So it's still tight. It's close with Jeff Hopkins coming in at 0.
Oh shit.
So,
Okay.
Jeff, you have not given yourself any points this season.
I haven't given myself. So I'm going to give Richard all the points this week.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo!
So they are R.O.B, they're Biohazard, they're DaVinci, they're Mars Rover. Nothing personal. I just need to shake some shit up.
That seems like could. Can I appeal to like the next the Ninth Circuit of Mount Rushmore
robots.
judging?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you?
Okay.
Is there a knock on your door? Yeah. Is it a robot? What's he holding?
With a gavel.
With a gavel.
And a pizza.
Uh-oh.
And a pizza.
And a piece. All right. Hey.
He just bludgeons the
sounds
pizza
cool.
with a gavel and leaves. All right, so this has been the Mount Rushmore of just plain old robots. And I, as always, am Jeff.
I'm Richard.
I am Michael.
Oh, he was a robot the whole time.
The whole time.
Michael
What a
sent
twist.
he sent a robot to do his podcast.
You clowns.
Is that his Roomba?
110001
I
11100001.
believe that's Linglo has just showed up.